Let me start off with a question. Have you guys ever heard the universally used word called insanity? The concept of where if someone does the same thing and nothing but the same thing over and over, without changing their ways of thinking or doing, it makes them insane. Well, this is the perfect word I would use to talk about Star Giant Productions. Yep, you read the title, you read the thumbnail, so I'm not even gonna do my usual act. Fuck it. Rebeccah Starlight again. So let's recap the last time I covered the Star Giant and Enter anime. This involved a bit of a lengthy backstory, so bear with me. For those who know everything about Rebeccah, I will put a timestamp. But if you want to listen, then listen closely. But let's go back to 2021. In 2021, the reviewer Mr. Enter made a video calling out his former editor and friend Rebeccah Starlight, or Star Giant Productions. Mr. Enter had a video revealing what it was like to work with Rebeccah, and including testimony from his co-worker and friends. Rebeccah was known as Enter's worst editor, and this isn't just something that was said as an opinion. No, Enter, his teammates, and even people on the reviewing committee and Enter's comic section, everyone says the same thing, and everybody recognizes when Rebeccah edits videos. These obnoxious red text she used, using PNGs without removing the white pixels, whenever Enter's avatar suddenly started floating. And she even began inserting her own avatars out of complete nowhere, and even self-inserted herself into his videos because she wanted attention even on Mr. Enter's channel. It's Mr. Enter's channel. You have your own channel to self-insert yourself all you want. But what is both the funniest thing and the most petty thing in the world, it seems that one sentence may have actually killed Star Giant's, him saying her editing sucks. And it seems her editing being questioned was more concerning than the fact a predator was roaming around her server like Pac-Man. But I'll get to that in a second. And that was just working with Rebeccah in video production. How was she as this caring person she loved to claim herself to be so much? Well, not that good either. During meetings with the creative team, Rebeccah would continuously have conversations that happened days before, and during serious meetings where there was a time and a place for everything. But it's more than just a time and a place for everything. It's a team trying to get money and trying to get the work done in a serious working environment. And when everybody's trying to work and one person isn't really pulling their weight, it's slowing down productivity. And also, it's just basic human knowledge and communication to read a room and decide when it's the best time to work and the best time to have downtime. And speaking of reading a room, one of Enter's editors, Hope, who now made a video on the situation with Rebeccah in full perspective, but Hope revealed that she also used to work with Rebeccah, and one time, Hope was commissioned by Star herself to make a gift for Enter, a 22-minute cartoon, scheduled to be done in 4 days. Which, I'm by no means an animator, but I know animating frame by frame, sketching, drawing, coloring, and texturing still images, let alone thousands of frames of still images. It is just not fucking possible. It ain't happening, brother. And the worst part, Star wasn't even gonna pay Hope for this. And to this day, she still haven't paid. Hope then revealed there was a time where she was depressed and partially due to Star's treatment of underpaying or not paying her and being tasked with this serious project. And Star Giant Productions, the caring, lovable individual, accused Hope of being mentally depressed for fucking brownie points. I hate that line so much even after 2 years that video came out. The most insensitive thing one could possibly say to someone that is depressed. And another former friend of Star Giant revealed that she and her editing team were horribly underpaid by her despite constant meetings to give all of her editors equal pay. But of course, the video went into great lengths describing her narcissism and making everybody increasingly uncomfortable to be around her. And after this video blew up, Rebeccah decided to upload her apology video with the most emotional manipulation skit, her saying she listened to everybody as she half-heartedly apologized, quote unquote, and she'll try to be a better person and human being, blah blah blah. Saying all of this just to get people off her back. But this didn't do much to regain her image. And after this video, Star Giant repeatedly continued to talk about Mr. Enter for the next 2 years, bitterly talking about him, blaming him for her own downfall, and refused to ever take an ounce of responsibility, even taking the opportunity to jump on the Turning Red controversy to call him out once again, despite the fact she said she was over him at that time. This is the same woman who publicly congratulates Mr. Enter on his 10th anniversary, but then privately goes back to her Reddit forum to insult Enter more. She then released a video addressing my addressing my abuse, which is the most pointless video she ever made. And she slaved her editors to make it, and she dragged her friends along to vouch for how she is the best person in the world. And let me say the difference between Enter's video and this video. When Enter brought his victims into the video, he did it because both he and his co-workers were victims of her. Plus, he had a shit ton of evidence against her. But Star did this with no evidence, just blind hatred and testimonies and finger pointing, and she brought her closest defenders just to get people to feel bad for her. And plus, the video is 3 hours long. Mr. Enter's video was only about 30 minutes. And the most frustrating part about this apology video is that Star Giant blames her online harassment and childhood trauma for why she abused others. If that isn't the most sociopathic justification. And lastly, she deleted the video because of how poorly it was received and brought out many people to talk about her, including me. She then made a last apology video that barely took any of her own advice. Be better today than yesterday. By the way, you didn't invent the catchphrase. Stop saying you invented the catchphrase. In this video, she once again, for the third, fourth, however infinite amount of times, denies responsibility, and she really thinks a face reveal will be any different to drain sympathy from us. If you have to make 3 apology videos without ever admitting your faults or mistakes, it's probably best if you just shut the fuck up. And that is the entire Star Giant Productions anime. I did say it was going to be lengthy because it was plenty to say. But now you are wondering, why am I talking about Star Giant Productions once again? Well, because apparently Star Giant Productions could not take her own advice from her own apology video. Star has recently been attacking Enter on DeviantArt, and there has been other things that came out, including her having another predator in the server that she has neglected to remove sooner, and some more information has come to light, but we'll get to them when we get to them, and you guys can consider this a small remake from the original video. But let's get started. I'm just going to replay some of her own clips for this, just so you can get the message.
Why did John not just tell me that I'm fired and kicked off his team? That's a very good question. To this day, I can't give you an answer. That's because I don't know! Let me state this right now, before we get any further. Mr. Enter and no one on this team is an abuser, both in general and towards me. And whatever sick, twisted thought that you heard of in the fall 2021 is incorrect. As in, it is incorrect right now.
Here is a direct list of the main videos that Rebeccah had a hand in.
Wait, that's literally every single video that I've ever edited for you, John. Not every video of mine I edit for you has errors, John!
I can go into specific editing errors, but if I did that, we would be here all day.
No, you might as well. It'd be interesting to see the mistakes that I would have never guessed in a million years. All of your editors have made errors. Look closely enough and you'll find it.
I'm also, might as well as mention, I never asked for any of her self-inserts. Anything she inserted of herself, of her voice, and so on, was done completely without permission.
Boy, this part. First of all I ever tried to do was make your videos more fun. And secondly, sometimes it would fill in the answers. Like the first time that I appeared.
And yes, the father's name is indeed Robert.
Robert, huh? Isn't that also—
If you make that comment, I swear that I will put a voodoo curse on you and your dog. I'm warning you, do not do it.
I guess John did put a curse on me, because I'm being constantly stalked by randos on the internet in 2023, and my dog died last year. Ironically enough, he died during the production of me making this video originally.
Instead of just telling you guys about how repetitive this statement is, I'm going to talk about something new. I'm just going to talk about this from my and the critic's perspective. I'm going to have to ask you guys like Dirty Explorer, but let me ask you a real question. Is this the face of someone who publicly announces they are fine with Enter now, and they want to bury the hatches and wants to fix her mistakes like she keep preaching she wants to do, even going out of her way to deceive us more by confusingly congratulating him on Twitter, when you were literally going off about him for 2 years and to this day about hating him, hating his guts? You made a 3-hour-long video, which is not even an apology video, it's just a venting video that you spent a year delaying and making, only to just bitch and moan about Mr. Enter some more. How pitiful of a human being must you be to dedicate this much energy on one person than doing something actually productive and impactful like changing yourself for the people you claim are your friends. And this fact alone brings to mind all of her friends and defenders. Please, take a second to think about this and put this in my and the other people's perspective. What was the point? What was the point of making 3 apology videos and countless internet apologies saying she is so sorry to enter in the internet as a facade on camera, to backtrack to hating him again when the internet was clowning on him, and she still hates his guts to make 2 more apology videos, an apology video to fix an apology video, saying she's sorry once again, but that word from her just makes me roll my eyes at this point, to harass him again. And keep this in your mind always. Star caused all of this. This entire 2 years of this chin reaction was all caused by her, by blaming Enter on day fucking 1 that she was fired. Enter even said despite everything he gone through, despite everything Star did, he originally didn't want to talk about this. He wanted to keep it, he was willing to keep this private until Star Giant started framing him an abuser. That was the last straw. He was never going to announce anything Star did to his team until she threw his own co-workers under the bus and blamed them for her getting fired. Star is narcissistic to the fucking core, and she has been this way forever. And to her friends, I get there are some things friends can do that they can look the other way, but when you are dealing with a narcissist, someone who always believes they are right, and if you spend a lot of time with them, they begin to want things from you. And the moment you can't give it to them right away, they feel like they owe you, they feel entitled to you, and they want what they want. I hate to say it, but Star wants nothing but her reputation back, and seeing how 2 years of utter hatred for this man and blaming and bitching about him for making a video of her is nothing but ongoing proof of it. If you are a friend of Rebeccah, listen, please, she is a grown 27-year-old woman. You do not owe her anything, and especially you do not owe her your time, and instead spend that time to do something better with your life without her. Honestly, fuck her. Rebeccah has proven to be nothing but a toxic lost cause, and her friends are a bit troubled to realize that. It doesn't matter how much Rebeccah may have helped you. If she has been proven to be a terrible person, full and through, who cannot get rid of her hatred to one person and her victims, you deserve so much better than someone who will fight for nothing but her own reputation and fame and status back. I am begging for some of her friends to open their eyes that she is dangerous and self-centered and selfish and greedy, and do not believe any more of her abusive bullshit. Do you have any idea how that statement even sounds to actual abuse victims? I was abused as a kid, so that means I'm accidentally abusive to others, but I'm trying to get better at it. Shut up! And that statement isn't even about something dramatic like daddy issues or, I don't know, abandonment. This is about YouTube drama. Petty YouTube drama that you caused. This isn't some daddy issues with your dad not being there for your little league game when you were 3 years old. I am tired and sick and frustrated and exhausted of her beating herself down, saying she isn't sorry, and only saying sorry when she gives in to the hate she gets, and then only says sorry for the internet to get off her back, to only return back to square fucking one like no one would notice. And Enter lastly mentioned Star has recycled jokes and skits from Enter, which I think I covered in the first video, but if you are obsessed with this guy, why are you using jokes word for word and line to line? So for most people that probably already talked about it, you know, Star Giant just left a predator in the server for 8 months while she was just so busy building up her self-esteem and trying to get her fame and status back, you know, typical shit she does. And it's mostly been covered by videos that talk about Rosa Ray Ramsey, which by the way, Rosa became friends with Star Giant for the most heartwarming reason ever. It can make a boy cry and turn into a man, and it's because Star Giant is pro-LGBTQ and because she is trans. I guess that's the only qualification you need to be a friend. Have you ever seen such a shallow-ass display of questionable friendship? This is along the best friendships out there alongside SpongeBob and Patrick and Peter Parker and Miles Morales. But the biggest reason I brought her up is because back in 2021, Star Giant Productions had a predator in the server for 8 months. And literally with her first meals a day, moving slowly but surely, living it up Gary's way, looking ass, she took 8 straight months to finally find the ban button and get rid of them. But I like to think the only reason Star removed her is because the Predator probably called her an incel and saw her content. As soon as she did that, then she banned the bitch on speed dial. And in her addressing her abuse video, at the literal 2 to 5 minutes of the video, she then mentions how she never knew who the Predator was and she didn't know about him, despite the fact she was your literal YouTuber thumbnail maker, your literal artist, and the person who you apologize to their victims on their community post. And I just have to say, how much delusional can someone believe themselves so hard that they are inconsiderate and selfish? But now Enter has made notice that recently Enter mentioned that she had another Predator. According to Enter's journal she had another Predator apparently called Gary. Who the fuck is Gary? That's what I'm saying. I'm asking the same damn question. I don't even know. Who the fuck is Gary? I did wish I had more info on the Gary guy, but the info he got was apparently this Gary guy literally sent the most explicit images on the server, and then it took her 4 days to ban them. Are you sure it wasn't 8 months again, and the only reason she banned it was because they mentioned that she made a shitty apology video? But I do have questions regarding who's this Gary person, and also how did Enter even find this out? I mean, I'm not dismissing what he says though, because Enter has been right about everything with Rebeccah, and her refusal to learn or grow or even have the decency to actually admit she's wrong and fix things she has done. And even if you love or hate Enter, don't dismiss Star Giant's lack of consideration for people in her server and her carelessness to solve the issue right away, and instead wait it out. And in the off chance this happened a few months ago, because Star Giant now says that her server is now adults only, even if her server is now adults only, it's still a giant red flag. And the fact that she even took 4 days to do something when the Predator was in the server anyway, and constantly posting the worst shit in there, is still a red flag for how she doesn't care for her friend's safety. Okay, this is a very, very brief segment, but something I just wanted to admit. I'm not one who cares or like to talk about fetishes. I think it's fucking weird. I don't understand the concept of just announcing fetishes to everybody you know. Now, I'm gonna say, if you have fetishes, I'm not gonna hate you, but I feel like just that information should just be brought upon with people your own age and to the most limited amount of friends. With that being said, I'm assuming Star Giant Productions' channel is aimed towards kids because she does review a lot of shows younger people would like My Little Pony and a few others. But let's pretend it's not marketed for kids. I still think it's fucking weird to announce to people with publishing your fan arts and images of your character and not putting a spoiler warning beforehand. And I think it's just fucking weird to just tell everybody about your fetishes. I'm still lost to this day on the addressing my abuse video where the first person who testified with Star was mentioning their fetishes, which I'm sorry, why was that part necessary towards a defense with Star Giant Productions? Why was Star and this person talking about fetishes, and how was this supposed to be a defense for why Star is a good person? But seriously, whether your channel is for kids or adults, keep your fetishes to yourself. We respectfully don't care. We don't care what you're into or what turns you on like a light switch. Please, shut up. And people think I'm exaggerating, but I'm just gonna blur out these images and put a drive in the description because I'm not getting demonetized of showing one of these images on my channel. I ain't getting demonetized because of Star. Just wanted to say this one more time. I don't care how many people, how many of her friends want to tell me to stop talking about Star Giant Productions. I don't care what they say or tell me. She is actively manipulative. She is dangerous to close friends, former friends, and any associate, and Enter's entire team. A lot of people that even know her for a little while. Everybody has been a victim of her in some way, shape, or form. Even I used to work for her at one point, and I can tell you, as being her former editor, it was fucking hell. And I have seen Star Giant's narcissism and lack of awareness. She would push editors so hard to the point they argue for equal pay, and the payment issue still continued as always. The fact I had to hunt her down and working for her as a one-time editor, and I witnessed her editors and how hard they had worked for her. She wanted constant late-night changes at literal 2 or 3 in the morning. Editors grinding their asses off like the rent was due tomorrow to finish the video. Submitting their unique talented edits only for Star Giant to cut their edits out entirely and replacing it with her awful editing, essentially removing all of the hard work and talent that the editors poured into it. To this day, I remember I having to hunt Star Giant for $50 and it took her 2 to 3 months to pay me. I did not want to be that guy begging for my money, but the fact that she was reluctantly refusing to pay me, after me rightfully being impatient while she was buying material items like merch from shows and stuff, and despite the fact she has and still has a job. Honestly, I think I found Illuminati's twin! How are you constantly going to conventions if you can't even pay your editors or artists? Even in your addressing the abuse video months ago, even one of your artists or editors admitted of making last minute decisions, or if my memory serves me right, I really do think it was like last minute decisions, but she still has that tendency. And it's not just editors she abused, even friends and former ones. Mr. Enter is the biggest example of her harassing him. And please be quiet if you're gonna say, well, it's Mr. Enter, I don't care about him. Don't. Please don't start. I made an entire video on the fact Mr. Enter is a changed person and someone who was criminally underrated and unappreciated. I promise you I'm not a meat writer, but I would defend that video till I die. Even if I wasn't a fan, I would still say this. But anyway, she would accuse anyone of being an abuser for the smallest disagreement or if she felt microscopically betrayed. Mr. Enter only fired her because of her leaking private information regarding his brand that was a secret at the time, the fact Star is inconsiderate to her co-workers and being a terrible editor. Star then proceeds to make countless attacks at him, following by trying every underhanded tactic to make herself and everybody think she got falsely accused. And I find it extra horrible, but Mr. Enter is already controversial, and she is effectively using that status to aid herself more on painting him horrible. Her friend Powerlad once disagreed with Star Giant on a silly harmless opinion and Star instantly blocked her and refused to speak to her for a year. Crimson Mayhem and Star Giant Productions once had a falling out and Star proceeds to paint him in a horrible light on video where this could have been kept privately and peacefully. Star Giant accused Hope of being a falsely depressed individual, and the second Hope started talking behind her back over her own concern and the fact Star was questioning her mental health and not even being paid to do her commissions, Star then proceeds to paint this horrible picture that Hope forgave her when Hope didn't even forgive her. And then Star gets mad when Hope explained this to her. I feel like I'm losing my sanity. I can't be the only person who sees this, right? Please tell me I'm not wrong. Somebody fucking pinch me. This is just pathetic and sad, and not for Star, but the fact her die-hard defenders just do not see anything with this information. When was the last time she wasn't giving herself a good noodle star and patting herself on the back and bragging about herself doing a good deed like, yeah, I helped somebody today, like a decent person in society and someone who was selfless should do. You shouldn't have to brag about helping someone to literally prove yourself to the entire internet you're not a dick. And some people still claim Star is the victim, when I have seen even people who aren't Mr. Enter fans, even they admit that she's problematic. That is an amazing feat when the non-fans of Mr. Enter reunite for this one opinion that, yeah, Rebeccah Starlight is really terrible. And to top this all off, she is now constantly harassing Enter on DeviantArt. Even if it was just a few messages, this is the pettiest shit I have ever seen. The word petty is the best word I can use to describe this entire thing. Star made it abundantly clear to everyone that she is not sorry, that she was never sorry, that she doesn't care about who her friends are, but the only thing she cares about is restoring her precious reputation. The same reputation that she lost due to her inability to change. And as she likes to put it, she and Mr. Enter could have talked it out. But unfortunately, talking was over the very second on day one you got fired and you tried to paint Mr. Enter as this evil individual, and the day you sent one of Enter's closest friends a script of you framing him as an abuser. That was Enter's last strike. So, in the words of Vanessa from the B movie, and whose fault did you think this was?